Alrighty everybody, welcome back to Culz Book Reviews. Today we are checking out a book that's definitely different than what we usually do, but at this point we've expanded so much, I guess it's more for the norm, right? We have a little bit of something for everybody, and this one was something that we found actually when we were in Roswell last year for the Roswell UFO Festival. So author Dennis McDonald's booth was actually right next door to John LeMay's booth in Galacticon, which is part of that festival. And so we got a chance to talk to him on, I think it was the first day of the festival. And he told us about he has his three books that he was talking about then, 13 Nightmares, Undead Flesh, and Ebon Moon. And I didn't pick up the book then, but a day later, I was like, you know what, it sounds interesting, let's pick it up. You know, it's another author that we discovered through our travels, and I love trying something new. Out of the three, a good werewolf book is something that I don't really come across, so I was intrigued there, because I don't think I have any, other werewolf books outside of, I guess, the norms. And so I was excited to check this one out. But before I give you my thoughts on the book and kind of recap it a little bit, let's take a look at the book itself. Alright, so looking at the book cover itself, up top you can see from the author of 13 Nightmares and Undead Flesh, you can see the eclipse as well as this really nice drawing of a werewolf. And then Ebon Moon, the title, as well as Dennis McDonald, the author of the book. Honestly, the cover art is fantastic, and I'm pretty sure it's the same artist for his other two books that he does reference at the top there. Along the side, we see Ebon Moon, same font with that kind of blood splatter, as well as Dennis McDonald. On the back, not too much going on outside of just trying to get you interested in the book itself. You see like fire, kind of just whimsical, kind of spooky fog going on there, as well as there's that ISBN for you. So the book clocks in at 348 total pages. I do believe on Goodreads it says 327, so it's a little off there, but honestly, given the length of the book, almost 350 pages, it really didn't feel like it. Like, it went by really quick, and there's a little bit more, but it's mainly to show some of the other books. You can see Undead Flesh and 13 Nightmares. That one might be the one I would check out next. But because it is a novel, it is just words. There's no other pictures throughout. But, that's fine. It's not that type of book, and it goes by really quick. At the front here, you can see, yes, we did meet Dennis, and he was nice enough to sign it for us. So thank you again, Dennis, for being so kind, talking to us, and signing the book. Alright, now on to the book and kind of my thoughts. For me personally, and this is going to have spoilers, so I'll kind of give a kind of rough breakdown before we get to that. So if you haven't read it, you guys can hear what I think, leave, and then I'll do spoilers for those who have read it. Now, for Ebon Moon, I do kind of feel mixed on this one. While there are scenes that are really good and really detailed, including the portions with the werewolves, and there are some characters that I think develop well, and that you, I think, want to live and don't want to die kind of deal. I think there is also the mixed side where sometimes it feels a little too mean or a little trying too hard to make the characters unlikable. There's almost a lack of good characters that you, not good in a way of well written, just characters that you want to root for. And then there is some pacing stuff like that, which was kind of, I guess, portions par for the course. But overall, I will give this one, I will say, 6-8 out of 10. At points I was at more of a 7, but then there was other points that were a 5-5 or a 6. And so I kind of try to settle somewhere between. The ending up until the very, very end is actually pretty well. So the last 60-some pages, I do have a little bit issues with the ending. We'll get to that in my spoilers. But yeah, for now, 6-8 out of 10. Is it for everybody? No. If you're a fan of horror, you'll probably enjoy this. If you like werewolves, You'll probably enjoy it. It's definitely made for more of a mature audience, so I wouldn't recommend it for younger readers, anything like that. But, I think some of you guys watching definitely could get a kick out of it and check it out. Also, I'll probably end up checking out one of the other books, most likely 13 Nightmares first, just because I'm not the biggest zombie fan, I guess. So 13 Nightmares definitely seems like the one I would go for first. And we'll see how that goes, and if you guys like this review and that one, hey, I'll do the third one too. But with that being said, let's get into spoilers. We are going into spoilers, so hopefully if you haven't read this one already, you guys have clicked away. And so let's dig into this. This one is a story that takes place in Oklahoma, much like the other two from what, Dennis told us is his books take place in Oklahoma because he's from Oklahoma. So that does make sense. You're going to write about the locations and places that you know the best, right? You don't want to go write something about a place you've never been to because, it's not going to be relatable in the same aspect as where you can write details that you personally know. So, writing style, let's talk about that. Obviously, this is my first time reading any of Dennis's books, and for the most part, I do think he's a pretty good writer. Portions, I think if you've read, when we did our Brian Gatto Evil Eyes review, it's similar in style to that one. It's somewhere between, I would say, that and Max Hawthorne as far as details. It is longer. It's not as long as Max's Cronus Rising series, but it's definitely longer than Evil Eyes. I'm comparing those ones because those are, I guess, the other two kind of fictional paranormal-esque books or cryptid or monster books that we've done. And so that would be the best comparison for you guys from what we've done in our, review history. A lot of the characters are decently written. There are some where I think things fell flat. This was written, I think, in 2014, I do believe, so it does make sense for some of the references or different pop culture things that pop up as far as seeming dated now. And sometimes that could be a good thing if you're setting it in a time frame. Like if you're writing a 50s or 60s or Wild West book, it's good to have kind of some of those stuff popping up because it really helps build the world. And this one does as well. But just for I guess for some audience members, depending when they were born, some of the references might not hit home. And so that's, I guess, kind of the tricky part of writing pop culture in. As far as who is our main character, it is Jessica, her daughter Megan, and possibly a teenager named Terry, maybe Sid. We do have the sheriff. His name is Dell. And those kind of revolve around kind of like this main batch. You have other ones. Jessica and Megan end up staying at a farmhouse with Sam and Nell. They're on the run from Jessica's abusive ex-husband that is a police officer in Chicago who's just written as almost cartoonishly evil. And I'm sure there's bad people out there, but at some point it's just not realistically, but I don't know. It takes you out just okay, it's trying too hard to be a bad person. Blake is the ex-husband, definitely a bad person, and spoilers, like I said, but when he gets his comeuppance, you're happy. I was hoping more for a double kill where Terry shoots he finds the arrow that went missing and he shoots it, and then Jessica shoots him with the silver bullet. As far as likable characters, there's only a handful. A lot of the town seems almost mean-spirited to the point where you're okay with a lot of them perishing. And I think for these type of books you need, obviously you want to have your human antagonists as well as the critters. But it's always good to have likable characters so that you don't want people to die. Otherwise, there's not a lot of suspense, right? There is, I think honestly I felt more suspense for there was a foal that was housed at the farmhouse, and when Blake was there as the werewolf, I was probably one of the most worried parts. I was like, please don't kill that, because They already killed a cat, they killed a dog, some cows. And you're just like, man, I hope that foal. And I don't know if it ever said if the foal lived or not. But that is when like Sam and Nell die, which is like two of the other characters that are somewhat likable. Like I wouldn't even say somewhat. They are likable. They're just sweet old couple that has taken pity on Jess and Megan out of the kindness of their hearts, taking them in and helping them get back on their feet. Another one is Sid. He's written weird. This is another thing about throwing pop culture because like he's described as listening like screamo, but then it's always like ICP and like Marilyn Manson, which doesn't fit what I guess I think of as screamo music. And so I guess that is where pop culture, it changes all the time. Definitions go this and that, and that's where it's hard to keep that in. When he perishes, you feel bad because he's like Terry's friend a little bit, but man, a lot of the other characters, I mean, the bar patrons seemed terrible people. What was her name? Debbie? Debbie and her friends get their comeuppance. Terrible. The most suspenseful thing, I think, like I said, was the foal and then the finale, where Jess is put down in the cellar with the sheriff who's part of the werewolf clan, which is something I kind of figured out early on as soon as there's a portion where like the werewolf, it doesn't say who it is, but they've said they've seen the little kid and the mother. And so at that point I was like, well, that's either, the sheriff or the people from the bar. And it turns out to be all three of them. It was Colin, one of the people from the bar, who was watching and not the sheriff. The sheriff does, even though he's part werewolf, he has actual feelings for Jess and turns on the pack to try to protect, her. Ends up getting shot by a silver-tipped arrow by Terry. He ends up dying by Jess shoots him. And he's thankful because he's released from the curse, after they shared a bond. And I will say after their relationship, little scene they had, I thought the book was going to go somewhere and say that the werewolf was still alive because like she was going to be pregnant or something with the child of the sheriff who was, part werewolf. So I thought, now the child's going to be part werewolf, but it didn't go that way. The ending, like I said, it's well done. There's suspense. I think the parts with the werewolf is what he has done the best at. And I think some of the characters, as far as kind of building their stories, honestly, Terry's probably the best written one. But the problem is, like, all the characters just say things that are really weird, or just like, I don't want to sound negative, because like I said, the werewolf portions were actually pretty good, and some of the character writing was pretty good. And for the most part, it seems like Dennis is a good author. I guess this one didn't hit it for me. Like I said, there's portions that seem just trying too hard to make certain characters bad, and then, again, not enough likable characters. And just, it seems like really well paced at portions, and like, really putting in the right detail, and just like, making you really feel involved in it. And then other times it just is like, bam, bam, bam. Characters did this, this, this. And then you're just like, okay, that was fast. And then the ending, after, Jess and Terry and Sid and all that goes down, and like every character in the book outside of Terry and Jess and Megan die. It ends with her driving. Sirens are blaring because there's a big fire going on, and Terry's just standing there, and they head off to Colorado. So they're here in Colorado, guys. So if you're with us in Colorado, keep an eye out. Might be werewolves. I don't know. But it just ends there. You don't get any really, I don't know, I guess closure on Terry's story. Like, what happens to him? Like, are they going to believe Blake? I mean, obviously, luckily for him, I guess Blake did set a place on fire and murdered some people. And so for Terry, that could help his defense, I suppose. But I don't know. Will there be a sequel? If we see Dennis again in Roswell, I don't know if he'll be there, because I don't remember if he was there 2 years ago. But if he is there again this year, I will ask him. Because honestly, I think I'd pick it up. I would try 13 Nightmares. So either he will be at the festival this year and I'll pick it up there, or I'll order it off Amazon. Like, there'll be ways to get in contact, I am sure, and who knows, maybe one day we'll do a Culz interviews with him if we can, and yeah, hopefully at least you guys enjoyed this review. Like I said, before spoilers, 6-8 out of 10. I did go back and forth while reading the book. Like, at portions I was like, oh, this is really good. Other portions I was like, 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. And then, yeah, as the ending, I think, brought it up, and when the characters are allowed to breathe more, and there's kind of like that back and forth, I enjoy that. Like, the ending had that back and forth where you'd see a little bit from one character and then a little bit from another, and they'd start piecing together, and I enjoy that. So that was really well done. So that's what brought it up to a 6-8 out of 10. If you're a fan of horror, I think you'll enjoy this. Read like the Max Hawthorne Chrono series, or if you read Brian Gatto's Evil Eyes, or any of his books, I'm sure you guys will enjoy this. If you like, monster movies, or like the movies of the 80s, kind of slasher films mixed with the 50s, monster films from Universal, I'm sure you guys will get a kick out of it. Perhaps it's not like my favorite book of all time, but it's not the worst, and I think I could probably read it again, and who knows, maybe reading it again I'll pick up on some more stuff, and maybe we'll do an updated kind of video. But until next time, guys, for more Culz book reviews, click that link to your left. For more about us here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know, A, have you read Ebon? And B, is there a book you want us to review? Tell us in the comments below.